Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
How Europeans see.
Hey guys, why do Europeans dislike Americans so much? Let's find out. My lighting isn't the best here, but it'll have to do. Hope you guys are doing well. The link to the original video, did I say this? Top of the description. Below that link to the Discord, would love to have you. Preemptive like. Nathaniel Drew, I believe I've watched some of his videos. They're good. Let's watch, shall we? My name's Connor, if you're new. Oh, oopsies. Not Blizzard.
I'm asking questions about how Europeans see Americans.
I think it's a third world country with a lot of money. Very negative.
Very negative.
Yeah, I don't see anything positive about America.
I think they're a bit stupid. American TikTokers, they earn too much money with what they do. Like in Belgium, you have to work for money and they just make videos and that's it.
Oh my God.
You know, I might be completely wrong about
I
it.
feel like America is that kid like in the school who's like, I think America is just a lot in your face, I'm sure, all the time to other countries. And so like a lot of the negatives might be extra negative, or like I'd be annoyed too, kind of, if it was always like, oh, what's America doing now? Oh, America. Oh, America. So I get that.
But I think it was a little bit cooler to be American when I was a kid.
I think we just didn't realize it until we grew up, maybe.
Hi guys! Hi guys!
I've lived in Europe for several years now, and look, I've romanticized this continent quite a bit. I really like living here, but there's a funny feeling that I cannot shake, and I think it has to do with how Europeans view Americans, or how Europeans view me when they discover that I'm American. And it's not entirely positive. This feeling has not gone away even though I've been here for a few years now. And it's not hatred, it's more like negative undertones, offhand comments or jokes that are made, and it makes me feel not very cool. And by the way, I recognize not all Europeans dislike Americans. That is a massive generalization. But I'm bringing this up because it's been enough of a trend for me to confidently talk about this as something that's really happening in the world. I don't think...
Obviously, you can't do anything. Sorry, I'm going to go back 5 seconds. You know, if people have a certain... sure, you know, a lot of countries have to deal with this. But again, I feel like the deal that America's like a super loud... And there are a lot of things about America I don't like. I don't know enough about a lot of other countries to say things I dislike about theirs. But I think the best thing you can do if you don't like it is act like yourself. Hopefully you don't have a lot of American traits that they have. And I'm sure people will accept you. Maybe they'll have the original, like, ooh, American. But as soon as you don't, you know, confirm the stereotypical American loudness, guns, America, then I'm sure you'll be good.
To confidently talk about this as something that's really happening in the world. I don't think it's just in my head. It just seems like when it comes to Europeans' view of Americans, there's a lot to dislike. I don't necessarily entirely disagree. I have plenty of my own criticisms about the United States and the way of life over there. And I think that all places, all societies merit criticism. That's how we get better. So this applies to everyone. But there's something deeper going on here that I want to explore. On a personal level, my own identity as an American, but also the identity of Americans on the global stage. We don't live in a bubble, and it turns out the whole world has opinions about us. Now, I have my own theories about what's going on here, but I thought I'd get to the root of the matter and ask Europeans themselves.
It makes me a little bit nervous talking to strangers, but I'm just gonna go for it.
What are the stereotypes?
That's a good question.
Moi, quand je pense aux Américains, je pense à la bouffe et tout.
My God, I love how French sounds. I love it. Is easily both the female and male voice. I think French just sounds awesome. I love it.
That's a good question.
Moi, quand je pense aux Américains, je pense à la bouffe et tout.
Dans quel sens? Le fast-food?
Ouais,
Ok.
parce que McDo. Ouais.
McDo. Ouais, ok.
Hamburger et tout.
Mais les Français adorent McDo.
Oui, oui. Bon, on y était il y a 2 minutes.
Donc c'est pas forcément négatif ça.
Non, non.
Okay.
Mais c'est l'image. Actually, I like Americans because they are like very chilled. America is like so expensive for good food. Like for like fruits and all this fresh stuff, it's like so expensive.
J'ai deux visions.
Oh my god, I love French. I want to learn it. But I hear that especially like in France, they I don't know if they subsidize a lot of like fresh foods, but it's clear that places in Europe, I'm sure it varies, but they care much more about supplying their citizens with cheap ways of getting good produce.
Like for like fruits and all this fresh stuff, it's like so expensive.
J'ai deux visions un peu.
Okay.
J'ai la version ils sont trop cool et tout, et la version vraiment le beauf américain.
Do you think the stereotypes about Americans are true?
Kind of. I have a classmate that is American, and we are talking like about our traditional foods, and the American was like,
Traditional American foods: hamburgers, tacos, French fries, Chinese food, delicious. Burritos, pizza, pasta, sausage.
my typical food is hamburger, ice cream, like the McDonald's one, and we are like, oh, so McDonald's is your typical food? She was like, yeah, kind of.
Could I just take a couple minutes, ask you a couple questions? It's okay if you don't have time. It's fine. Okay, all good. Have a nice day. The Americans don't have time for me. That's kind of funny. Would
The
you mind if I
Americans,
asked you
stupid American.
a couple questions?
Polarized. Extremely polarized.
Yeah. More than the Netherlands.
Much more.
Feel younger people feel the same way or differently about American?
I think even stronger.
Even stronger?
I think they feel even stronger.
Yeah, the older people, I feel maybe thinking of the World War II and World War I, in which the Americans did a very good job by helping, because Europe was not doing very well.
Ils connaissent que ce qui se passe dans leur pays.
Parce que enfermés sur eux-mêmes.
C'est-à-dire
que c'est pas contre eux, mais qu'ils s'intéressent pas trop aux autres pays.
They know about their own country, but not about like other stuff in the world.
Oh, you're giving us too much credit. All right, we don't even know.
They're overrated.
They're overrated. How? Like, they receive too much attention?
Too much hype.
Too much
on
hype.
the internet.
Are you also German?
Yes, I am.
And in Germany, you feel like German people have a positive view of Americans? Or
not really.
No,
I think
okay, so more negative.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you feel that there's
Still mad about we beat him in World War II?
been a change?
No. 2-0, baby. I'm joking.
At all in terms of how Americans are viewed, like in the last 10, 15 years?
I think so, yes. Especially due to the Trump and the Tea Party things happening. It got more polarized, and that made it more negative in my view.
There's more that I'd like to say about why I believe this dynamic is happening, why Europeans see Americans in this way. But before I do, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is BetterHelp. And
who cares about your sponsor? I'm joking. Especially BetterHelp.
Look,
guys, please, if this interests you, BetterHelp. Mental health is a big thing for me as well, so definitely a good sponsor here. So
therapy.
Make sure to, if you're interested, use the promo codes and everything for them, guys.
Before I do, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is BetterHelp. And look, therapy is a really powerful tool when it comes to anything and everything identity related. I absolutely love living abroad. I wouldn't exchange it for the world, but it has come with its own emotionally challenging situations, and it's been helpful to work with a therapist over the years. Loneliness, my own self-image, my self-worth, those are the kinds of things that I've been working at developing a deeper understanding of over the years thanks to therapy. BetterHelp is 100% online and designed to be convenient and flexible to adapt to your schedule and what works for you. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it works for you. They give you access to a very large network of licensed therapists, and so if the therapist that you're working with doesn't work out, it isn't a good fit, you can switch to a new one at no additional charge. So if you're interested in checking it out, you can get 10% off your first month if you sign up at betterhelp.com/NathanielDrew.
Use the /NathanielDrew.
And I'll leave that link in the description as well.
Guys, please, in any of the things, make sure to use their /whatever, because that's how the sponsor knows how they are getting traffic from the person they're sponsoring. Also, I believe that therapy, you know how everyone, like, kids, especially if you're a kid, you get physicals every year. I think kids should get a mental every year, just to be like, what's going on? How do you feel emotionally? Mad all the time? Mad a lot? Sad a lot? Nervous? What's going on? I think that's a big deal. And
one of the best ways to
before we start off, guys, I gotta pee. I'll be right back. All right, sorry, I'm back. I washed my hands.
Support my work. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this video. All right, time for me to share some of my own personal theories here. Here's why I think it was maybe a little bit cooler to be American in the past. I was born in the 90s, maybe like some of you. And back in the 90s, it's not like the United States, or the world for that matter, didn't have its problems. It definitely did. You're not gonna get any of that classic, nostalgic, those were the days kind of thing from me. But one thing I think we can all agree on is that back in the 90s, the internet had not yet completely taken over our lives like it has now. And in my view, the internet feels like it's taken whatever problems already existed and made them bigger and louder. That might actually be what the internet is best at, the fast transmission of ideas and information, which in turn amplifies them. And there's another thing that the internet is really good at, which is that it is a canvas for less curated or filtered versions of that information or ideas. There are less gatekeepers, so anyone can say anything. My theory is that as time has gone on, and as the internet has played a bigger and bigger role in our lives, the world has been exposed to a less curated version of the United States. You know, you had movies and TV and pop music reaching the entire world, but it wasn't like it is today. With
you might say this before I forget it. I get what he means there. My biggest theory is that when there is a giant, very powerful, superpower country like the United States, and there's another giant power or powers who you are afraid of and are also powerful and will damage you more than the U.S. will damage you, then you'll overlook a lot of the stuff that the U.S. might do because you see them as, all right, they're not perfect, but they're definitely in a lot of Western European countries' perspective, or Western countries in general, better, like, kind of a protection. But then once the USSR goes away, and now it's just the US is number one, and now it's like, all right, well, now I'm not really getting as much of the obvious protection from you, and everyone else is getting, stronger and don't have to rely. And so America is still kind of doing a lot of what it wants, but without the other boogeyman like the USSR to make everyone kind of deal with it and just be like, yeah, they're not great, but at least they're around. And now that a lot of countries are becoming powerful on their own, and there isn't two superpowers, there's one, then I think it could be more critical and annoyed by America still acting like the giant world police and they can't do much wrong when they're not as much needed. I think you can argue that, but I think that might have partly what it is. And I guess that's
pop music reaching the entire world, but it wasn't like it is today with social media and even the news reaching so many more people. Nowadays, it feels like you cannot escape the news about the mass shootings that are constantly happening in the US or the insane election cycles. I think in some ways, the internet might have taken away some of our innocence, right? Some of our naivete. As a result, even more curated versions of culture, like the highly produced TV shows and movies, are reflecting the things that we're seeing. The unintelligent or simple American is a very believable archetype and not a new one. You've got at least one, and often more than one, character that perfectly fits that archetype in pretty much all American sitcoms, from Friends to How I Met Your Mother. And there are plenty of shows that play off of this very intentionally. I think of South Park and Family Guy and The Simpsons. And internationally, the contrast is even more stark. And it might just be me, but it does feel like the perception of Americans is deteriorating. I mean, I'm thinking about shows like Emily in Paris or The White Lotus. The White Lotus in particular blew me away because it felt so believable. And
I'm not a big TV show watcher. The only two TV shows I've watched, and this has got to be a lot of praise, are Dexter and Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad I think was better, but those are the only two TV shows like I've ever watched that I binged. Like I seriously wanted to watch the next episode, you know? And so I'm just not that big of a TV person. I've only seen a few parts of episodes of Game of Thrones because friends, you know, back in college loved it, and sometimes like, oh, whatever.
But oftentimes in a very depressing way. Clearly, Americans are not known for being refined or in touch with reality. This is particularly true of wealthy Americans. And why wouldn't Europeans feel this way? We are famously terrible at learning foreign languages. To many, we're seen as living in our own giant bubble.
A lot of people beforehand used to think like the US was like very cool and this really lovely place to go to, but I feel like everyone just thinks it's dangerous and they don't care about their citizens. There's all these shootings going on, like their healthcare is horrible, their schooling's horrible.
So there's been a change.
I think it's always been like that. I think there's a change now because like social media is like is making it more apparent.
America used to be, you know, like the American dream, like a lot of them used to be a big thing. Like gun crime was getting like publicized a lot more, so I think like the narrative is changing a little bit.
Je vois l'Amérique comme une grande puissance mondiale et je les vois comme des capitalistes. En fait, si t'as de l'argent, tu vis bien, mais si t'as pas d'argent, y a personne pour t'aider. Marche ou crève.
In France, we say.
L'argent, tu vis bien, mais si t'as pas d'argent, y a personne pour t'aider. Marche.
Walk or die, work or die. Someone said something. I think another. I don't want to talk too long, but the fact that, you know, America like still wants to, like, America is like, they did something really amazing for a bunch of people in Europe that older Europeans love them for, which is like helping out in World War II. And I feel like it's like someone who did something really great in the past that a lot of people are thankful for, and they're like still pulling that card, or like they're still like see themselves as that, even though it's almost 100 years later, and it's like, all right, yeah, you know, great. Well, since then, what you did, Korean War. Well, I guess actually, you can argue the Korean War was helped by the Americas too. I mean, I think I'd rather there be a South Korea than just, but then Afghanistan. And so it's got to be annoying to see the person, yeah, you did something great in the past, and now, like, you know, Europe was destroyed in the world wars, and America wasn't. It's oceans away. And I think America just finally, everyone's telling America, like, wake up. Like, it's not 1948 anymore, 1950. And so, yeah, that's kind of like what I get. Like, you did something great, and then you just keep being a dick, and then just always putting out, but like, yeah, remember that?
Des capitalistes, en fait, si t'as de l'argent, tu vis bien, mais si t'as pas d'argent, y a personne pour t'aider. Marche ou crève.
In France, we say.
And by the way, I definitely think she's right there. That America's like freedom, right? Is all a lot of people say, oh well, you're free to, you know, oh, such a free country, your freedom, where you don't have free healthcare or affordable housing, and college is messed up, and you can be killed in gun crimes a lot. And it's like, it's sad, but like, I think it's freedom in America is like freedom to thrive or die sort of thing. And I'm laughing because of how sad it is.
Tu vis bien, mais si t'as pas d'argent, y a personne pour t'aider. Marche ou crève.
In France, we say the Americans are big and fat, but I love America with the friends, the salary friends.
Donc il y a des côtés positifs et des côtés négatifs.
Ouais, c'est ça.
D'accord.
Globalement, les gens pensent ça, mais en même temps, tout le monde va à New York et tout le monde va aux États-Unis.
Ouais, d'accord, ok.
C'est ça en fait. Ouais. Ils ont des préjugés, mais en même temps, c'est quand même un rêve d'y aller.
J'étais absolument ulcérée quand Trump était au pouvoir, de voir le comportement de cet homme. Ça donne pas envie d'aller forcément dans ces conditions-là. Le fait que les gens soient très très armés, j'ai l'impression que je me sentirais pas en sécurité.
Most people love Canadians.
Let me say, so the gun thing, you know, absolutely, and it's very different depending on where you are. I have never held a gun in my life, all right? I never see, if you come to New England and you see someone who's not a cop like have a gun out, you're gonna be like, what the heck? It's gonna be legal for them to do it if they have a license, but it's a very like, huh, what? And I know the main fear isn't of just like the random guy with the gun out be like, ah, shoot ya. It's mass shootings and stuff like that. But I guess I'm going against my own point actually. Gun culture is very different depending on where you are in the U.S., but clearly it's a giant problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you clarify you're a Canadian, they're like,
Yeah. We're like, oh, Canada. Where are you from in Canada?
For me, it's like a lot about the money. Like the times I went to New York, and it's like, you know, winners and losers, and you know, you gotta make it, and you gotta make loads of money, and la 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 la, and then like if you don't have money, you're like basically fucked. I would say extremes.
Extremes.
It's like an extreme, you know, country. Like very very rich, very very poor.
Right.
Eat very much, eat very 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 healthy. Like extreme healthy, extreme like XXL.
I think that's an amazing take.
McDonald's, whatever.
Where are you from?
England.
Perfect. So I'm doing a video on Europeans' view of Americans.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any opinions about that.
She already said it, just the little.
So okay.
We're from Europe.
No, we're not. We left the EU.
I want to say, ha, she's not American. I've seen so many American, like where Americans say stupid stuff. So I'm just kind of like basking in the, finally, all right, I heard a British person think that they're not European.
No, this is Europe.
Do you feel like it's a more positive or a negative view of Americans?
I'd say negative. I feel like there's a lot going on there that's just a bit backwards.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we need to move along.
Yeah.
They've like, you know, all the abortion laws coming in.
I feel bad for pausing that much. She made a simple mistake.
I feel like there's a lot going on there that's just a bit backwards.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we need to move along.
Yeah.
They've like, you know, all the abortion laws coming in.
So politically.
And, like all the gun crimes, things like that. Like I imagine like most of the country is absolutely lovely, but there's some of the morals that are just a little bit off for me. So I struggle with that.
I agree, but I do think you all like proper chatty and that, and you're really energetic.
Yeah.
So it's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
But I also agree with that as well.
Yeah.
It's lovely to meet Americans.
Yeah.
Love meeting Americans.
Okay, so why am I so interested in this?
By the way, I think this guy is one of the better, he has such a great personality for this sort of stuff.
Energetic, agree.
I wanted to say, shoot.
Some of them like coming in
so politically.
and you move along.
Yeah.
They've like, you know, all the abortion. Like I feel like we need to.
Oh yeah, it's sort of strange. It's like, the abortion laws. You know, Roe v. Wade. You know, that was the 70s. I think it was adopted. So, I mean, that was, you know, that's been like 50 years. So, take away that. It's like, when was America ever not everything they've said? You know, it's like, it's one of the weirdest things when I think like, oh, America, we're so accepting, and like, what's happening to us? Why are we like so xenophobic? Look at Trump. It's like, do you look at our history? Are you insane? Like, anything pre-1980s was extremely racist. Anything pre-1960s was next level racist. And slavery and you know, we like denied a lot of Jewish people, refugees from the Holocaust. The stuff we did in Vietnam, the stuff we did in Afghanistan, Iraq. Obviously, you're attacked 9/11. You gotta have some thing, but obviously it's like, sometimes I'm like, what America are you talking to that we're slipping away from? I often, it's like whenever you're in the present you think so much stuff that happens when you're like in the now is the important stuff, when it's just going to be other points in history later on.
Move along.
Yeah.
The like, you know, all the abortion laws coming in.
So politically.
And, yeah, like all the gun crimes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What are European abortion laws like? I haven't heard.
Like I imagine like the most of the country is absolutely lovely, but there's some of the morals that are just a little bit off for me. So I struggle with that.
I agree, but I do think you all like proper chatty and that, and you're really energetic.
Yeah.
So it's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
But I
lovely
also
to
agree
meet
with that as well.
Yeah.
It's lovely to meet Americans.
Yeah.
Love meeting Americans.
Okay, so why am I so interested in this topic? Well, over the last few years, I have shared my journey moving abroad and looking for a home. Because that home is not the United States. I just don't feel connected to that country. Not as a home, even though I'm coming to realize that it did shape me in many ways. I'm just trying to find my place. But as I've said before, different people will treat you in different ways based off of how they perceive you. The first time I experienced this was during my high school exchange in France when I was 16 years old. Obama was president, and regardless of your personal political opinions or feelings, he was seen in a generally positive light abroad. So in a weird way, even though I was not responsible for electing him, I wasn't even of age to vote, that scored me some cool points. And then on top of it, 16-year-old French kids living in a small town in the west of France thought it was cool that I rode a yellow bus to school and that I had my own personal locker in the United States. So I was benefiting from all these things that I didn't really control at all.
Every European's wet dream. You guys don't have lockers?
A locker in the United States. So I was benefiting from all these things that I didn't really control at all. Then I get to Argentina a few years later.
What do you do with all your books and stuff? You carry them around to every class?
And things that I didn't really control at all. Then I get to Argentina a few years later. And I see what it's like
Don't
to
tell 'em
be
you're
on the flip
British.
side, where the general sentiment was more negative. I'm generalizing here, but there's a bit of an anti-American streak in Argentina. I think this comes down to the image that the United States has of.
For some reason, maybe it has to do with like America, Britain, Falklands. America didn't intervene in the Falklands, but they didn't defend. Maybe
being a bit of a bully. I mean, Che Guevara is a bit of an anti-American,
he's
anti-capitalist
Argentinian.
symbol, right? So that was a very different experience. And now I'm back in Europe, and I've been here for a while, and the perception has changed yet again.
90% of the Dutchmen think Trump is quite strange.
Yeah.
They think Republicans are also quite strange. And that Americans are very Puritan.
This might just be me, but I do feel like the image of Americans has deteriorated a little bit over the last 10 years. That might come down to the government that's currently in power. It might come down to social media. This is a very complex thing, so I can't point to a single reason, but it's definitely a feeling that's there. Now, on a personal level, before I realized that this was going on, I was kind of unintentionally overcompensating. I felt like I needed to show that I wasn't the out-of-touch American in Europe. And the same thing happened to me in Argentina, where I was speaking with as much slang as I possibly could that I picked up over there, even when it was just way too much, when it was inappropriate. Que zarpado, boludo, está re piola, pibe, mal. Why was
Más o menos. ¿Cómo estás?
acting like
¿Cómo
that?
estás?
Was there a deeper need within me to be accepted by the people that I am surrounded by? To me, it's a little bit cringy to behave that way because accepted by the people. Why was I acting like that? Was there a deeper need within me to be accepted by the people that I am surrounded by? To me, it's a little bit cringy to behave that way because it's overcompensating for something, which in this case was the identity that people were associating with me. Whatever it was, the out of touch, stupid American, or whatever it might be. But that's actually a me problem, not a problem with the world.
I truly believe this, okay? There are some qualities that people have. I think most annoying qualities that people have are ones that aren't even qualities they have. It's them trying to compensate. I think people, if you are open, if you're an open book, if you are genuine, then even if like you're not the coolest person or you're not, people are comfortable with someone who is very easy to read. They seem genuine. They give an opinion without, they don't sound like they're trying to imitate someone. If you're genuinely like just not a good person and act that way, then no. But I say that I think the same thing with this. If like it does not bother me at all I wouldn't even think about it. If someone says something, says something weird about Americans, I think, and they find out you're American and like kind of, I think if you just be genuine, then I think some person will like you. I think that's a universal thing. People like genuine, friendly, emphasize genuine. Okay. If you're not yourself, people will pick up on that and they won't know how to pin you. And I think they won't. But yeah, I think that tying yourself down and letting your fear become a reality because of the fear, just, learn about why people don't have a love for America, but don't take that into the country. And a lot of the times I think that people play into stereotypes. Sometimes I do that because I think it's funny. Sometimes I'll joke like, yeah, that's right. Like, damn right. Freedom over it. But as long as you don't make that your entire personality, that's something I think I've learned. If you want people to enjoy your company, like you, I say, just be yourself. Be yourself. If you're genuine, people will know that, whether they realize it or not, and they'll gravitate towards you. And I think that'd be the same, regardless of if you're American or not, and meeting someone who isn't all that fond of Americans. I think they'll quickly see that. And if they just dismiss you right away, then they're probably not the best person to get to know anyway. So
You have to realize that people can think whatever they want about you. It doesn't change who you are. If people see me as yet another dumb American, it doesn't mean that's true. And also, it doesn't mean all Americans are that way. I think we all know this. We all know that individuals don't necessarily follow the stereotypes, but it's also how people operate in a world of 8 billion people. I can't blame people for having formulated an idea about the place that I'm from, considering how much culture is exported from that place. A part of me used to try to distance myself as much as possible from anything and everything American. But the truth is that at least some part of me, some piece of me, has been influenced by my upbringing there. There are a lot of things I don't like, but there are some things that I do. If genuinely being very enthusiastically excited about simple things is the dumb American thing to do, then fine, maybe I'm a dumb American sometimes, because that is something that comes naturally to me. I would rather be myself and accept the consequences than try to be someone that I'm not.
And it is the only option to be the former, not the latter. By trying to be someone else, I can almost guarantee you are going to come off worse than if you are if you want to think you're boring, your own boring self, okay? And do you know why I know this is true? Because you can see it. I can see it. The concept, I have a lot of, I've grown up with a lot of anxiety, some insecurities, I guess. Not or social situation. One of the biggest things is that people exaggerate. They want to, perceive that, make themselves seem smarter than others or more travel than others. It's be genuine, okay? Be genuine. Everyone's a human being. If you're getting so wrapped up in your worry of someone's thought about you, if the idea of trying not to act American, because I would never do that. I wouldn't say, oh, I'm American. But if someone asked oh, where are you from? I wouldn't have an ounce of oh, maybe I'd be like, oh, I'm American. And they're like, oh, classic. I'd be like, haha, and I'd be myself and continue to talk with them. And then that would be forgotten that I'm American. And if it doesn't get past that, then why spend time with them? Except every country has stereotypes. America is the loud one. I think also America is the one that interferes everywhere. So everyone kind of has a perception of America. But yeah, this doesn't just go for being American. Anything, okay? Just be genuine. And I think people will people that are worth being friendly with will gravitate towards you.
What everyone wants to feel welcome wherever they are, and especially in their home. But the reality is that that's actually a luxury, not a given. So many immigrants in the United States were never made to feel that way, despite the fact that the country benefited tremendously from all the immigration, all the people that risked their lives to go build something over there. Honestly, I don't have it that bad. Who am I kidding? I don't have it bad at all. It could be so much worse, and oftentimes it is. Exploring this topic has really given me quite a bit of empathy. The reality is that that's actually a luxury, not a given. So many immigrants in the United States were never made to feel that way, despite the fact that the country benefited tremendously from all the immigration, all the people that risked their lives to go build something over there. Honestly, I don't have it that bad. Who am I kidding? I don't have it bad at all. It could be so much worse, and oftentimes it is. Exploring this topic has really given me quite a bit of empathy for the immigrants that are very poorly received all around the world. So, what do you think about everything I just shared here? What is your perception of Americans or of Europeans towards Americans? I would be curious to hear, because this is a giant open-ended topic, and I invite all different opinions and perspectives on this.
I love this guy's personality. He has the greatest personality, the greatest vibes. I like to think I have similar, like, my curiosity, I find, is a lot stronger than my anger most of the time, or frustration. And so when my first reaction isn't to be like, what the heck? But America's great. Your country's, it's more just like, I'm curious, like, why is that the case? You know what I mean? And he has that perfect mindset.
It's just something I love to explore. Also, apologies to all Latin Americans and Canadians who are Americans in their own right. I have decided to use that word in this video because there isn't really another word that has been widely adopted to still speak of the people of the United States.
Do other countries in the Americas call themselves American? Like,
so I just used it for simplicity, and I hope.
Like, I get, this is one of the things though. I get, like, the continents of North and South America are America, but I never got that frustration with Americans or with people from the United States calling themselves Americans, because you want us to, should we say that we're United Statesians? Like, what should we call? Like, Canadians can say Canadians, Colombians, Colombian, Brazilians. We are United Statesian. Like, I never understood that frustration. I'm like, what else are we gonna call ourselves?
I hope that you can forgive me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see all of you very soon.
Bye guys. Bye guys. Bye guys.
What a cool dude. Vibe check, A+. This guy just seems awesome. That is, I wish I like to think I do have this kind of mindset. I'd like to think, but I think it's more and more rare than ever. It's someone who's not polarized. He's just, hey, disagree with me, agree with me. I'm trying to learn alongside you guys. I want to know genuinely what the he just has a curiosity, and I wish people would be more open to just thinking if their opinion is right or wrong, and just genuinely wanting to know if their opinion is right or wrong, instead of defending, being afraid that they might be wrong. Awesome video. Really, really interesting, fascinating. I loved it. Everyone he interviewed seemed like super intelligent too. Europeans are just always very good looking and well dressed, and this guy was cool as hell too, just chilling. I hope you guys are doing well. Love y'all. If you're not, chin up. Emotions are fickle, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.